I'm a gigantic brain!
Welcome, monsters who are people, people who are monsters, and okay, we get it already. Never judge a book by its cover. Sheesh. This is episode 331 of Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 27th of November, 2019. Happy Thanksgiving a little early to our listeners here in America. And tonight we are doing Planet of the Ood, written by Keith Temple and starring David Tennant as the Doctor and Catherine Tate as Donna Noble. I am your host this evening, Randy Ronson McCulloch, and with me is the other host, Bill, the Man in Black Sylvia.
I don't know if it's because of the opening, but I kept reading that as an Unpodly Earthcast.
Our technical director, Mad Matt Winchell.
I am in pain.
Thomas Fireheart.
Still waiting on Power of the Ood.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan will not be with us tonight, as he will be getting up early to board a train to apparently head to his family for Thanksgiving.
He'll be with us in spirit.
He has left us his notes and his commentary for the review. So, what's everybody's plans for Thanksgiving? Well, those of us here in America.
I'm undecided. It really depends on how things turn out in the morning. For those that don't know, I tripped and fell while trying to push around the garbage bins on Monday, and that skidded up my knees to the point that my one knee in particular is giving me trouble. It's healing, but still being a pain in the ass because it's right there next to my kneecap. Yeah, and I don't take kindly to pain, so I'm hobbling everywhere.
How about you, Bill?
My mother and I will be eating, actually, and I think my sister will be with us. We'll be eating at my mother's friend's place, as we've done the past few Thanksgivings. So my sister finished pretty much moving out of our apartment about a week ago, so it'll be our first chance to catch up and see how her new living situation's doing. I'll ask how the cats have been adjusting to their new home.
I will be picking up... Erin's planning on working tomorrow, so I'll be driving her to work and then coming back, and then picking her up around 7, at which point we will have a late Thanksgiving dinner at the Cracker Barrel, which Erin has never eaten at before, and I've not eaten there outside of breakfasts.
I've not been to a Cracker Barrel since 2003.
I have not been to one since about 2009 or 2008. And that was the last time my mother and I went down to Florida. My mother always liked to...
Funny enough, that was on a trip to Florida, and it was the only time I've been to one so far.
Yeah.
The nearest one's about an hour away, so unless I'm going to the Poughkeepsie area, I don't go to one.
Yeah, I don't usually eat at the Cracker Barrel because I'm not overly fond of some of their breakfast stuff. Their biscuits and gravy always taste like it's, has sawdust in the gravy. And as somebody that likes their southern cooking, that pisses me off. And of course, their grits are instant. Because there's
what that is. I think that's the best biscuits and gravy that I have easy access to.
I am sorry, Bill.
Other than downloading a recipe and buying ingredients one by one, which I rarely have time or opportunity to do.
I am so sorry, Bill. If we still had the con going, I would have to be getting your butt up someday just to go to at least the 3 places I know in town that have decent biscuits and gravy.
Yeah.
I could guess a few of them, but which ones would you prefer?
Parkway Restaurant off of Fitch Hatchery Drive is a basic for me. Egg and I, which is also in that same area, just a little further down the Beltline. And I think C's Bakery in Middleton is the third.
I'm actually not aware of any of those. Okay.
Well, the Egg and I only showed up, I think, a few years ago.
Mm.
Parkway has been there for freaking ever.
I think I've heard of the Parkway. I've never been.
Oh, I might also add. I haven't tried their biscuits and gravy yet, but based on the rest of their cooking, I'm tempted to think it's probably good. And that is right down here on Whitney Way. There's a restaurant. Sorry, can't remember its name all of a sudden. Copper Top. It had really good breakfast, and I do remember seeing biscuits and gravy on their menu.
All right.
Anyway, it's enough of us tangenting on that. On tonight's show, we've got news and a lot of it.
A lot of it.
Birthday.
A lot of birthdays.
Thomas has some geek talk, which we are going to watch and meter. We're also going to be metering some of the news, too, in order to get through it as fast as possible.
Yep.
And then our episode summary, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings.
Stop watching. So get a workout.
So
let's
let's
go.
Jump both feet into birthdays. First birthday is the 21st of November, right after our last podcast, is the birthday of Malcolm Hulke, who is one of the top 3 most famous writers for Doctor Who. He would have been 93, but died in 1979. Next would be the 23rd of November, and Michelle Gomez's birthday is first off. Who is, of course, known for playing the Mistress, a.k.a. Missy, from 2014 to 2017. And she just turned 53. The next person would be Michael Gough, best known for the title role in The Celestial Toymaker, but better known more recently being in the last 20, 30 years, as Alfred in the Tim Burton Batman films. Also the Joel Schumacher films, but we won't talk about those.
Those were my first experience with the actor.
Shame.
He would have been 103, but died in 2011 at the age of 94. The next day would be the 24th of November and would be the birthday of Shirley Henderson, who played Ursula Blake in Love and Monsters, but is better known as being Moaning Myrtle in the Harry Potter film franchise.
Moaning Myrtle is a year older than Missy.
Yeah, that's a little odd, isn't it? Because think of how old Moaning Myrtle was when she died, and then you subtract 10 years from her age, and you realize that a person in their 40s was basically playing a teenager.
Yep, yeah, she was in her 30s when the Harry Potter books started coming out.
That's a little weird.
Yep.
Just one of those faces, I guess.
Then the following day was the 25th of November, and it was the birthday of Sophie Hopkins, who played April in the spin-off series Class. She turned 29. Yep. But she's in her 20s playing somebody 10 years younger. That's different than 40s.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bit of smaller age gap there. 20s passing as teens has been a thing since the 1960s.
And then finally,
Probably
we've got
that.
birthdays today. The first birthday is the birthday of Verity Lambert, the original producer from Doctor Who, back from 1963 to 1965. She would have been 84, but died in 2007 at the age of 71, just old enough to see Doctor Who come back and become successful. On the same day is the birthday of Johnny Byrne, who was a writer and was the creator of Nyssa. Would have been 84, but he died in 2008 at 72. So, yeah, they basically were the same age. And finally is the birthday of Peter Tuddenheim, a voice actor who basically did some bit parts in various Doctor Who, but is better known in the series Blake 7 as the voice of the computer Zen, as well as Aurak, and later on the voice of the computer Slave. He would have been 101, but died in 2007 at the age of 88. So happy birthday, Michelle, Shirley, Sophie. And a posthumous happy birthday to Malcolm, Michael, Verity, Johnny, and Peter. The amount of them that are already dead are more than the people that are actually alive and celebrating their birthdays. But when you're dealing with a franchise that's on the verge of hitting 60, that's going to start happening.
Yeah.
Mm.
Been happening to Godzilla for a while now, I think, a little bit. It's starting to get there, at least.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go to our Series 12 news, of which we actually have some.
Wow. The
Chibnall
embargo has
finally.
The veil has finally parted.
Chibnall finally went, yeah, okay, fine, you can start letting stuff out now. Okay, so finally we see the gears of the Doctor Who promotional machine start to turn. A trailer for Series 12 came out this Friday in front of Strictly Come Dancing.
All right, so everybody here seen this trailer?
Yep.
Yes.
In fact, I've seen a reaction to it, yes.
What do you think from what we've seen?
Starting to stopwatch.
It looks interesting at the very least. It's kind of funny that I think the only vocalizations we get, I could be wrong, but it seemed like the only vocalizations we got from a villain seemed to be the Jadoon, which is kind of funny.
So what I what
Is
stood
it
out?
me, or about 15 seconds in, does that look to be Arachnos?
Yes. There looks to be a
Yes,
close up of
that was
Arachnos.
exactly my
Yeah.
reaction. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was
I've
like,
seen,
the first time I watched it, I was like, why is that familiar? And then I watched it, and I'm like, why is that familiar? Wait a second, is that the Arachnos Queen?
yeah.
I don't
It's
think
a-
it's the
must
same actress,
admit-
but it does seem to be a similar creature.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. There's one scene where there's the skittering spider, so that's probably Arachnos, and then there's one that I'm pretty sure was the Arachnos Queen from the 10th Doctor era.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
This
something
looked
close to it.
exactly like the Arachnos Queen, but
Mhm.
it was not a scene I'd seen before. So I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
are we getting the return of the Arachnos? Because that would be interesting.
Or
That would be
maybe
interesting.
something
We didn't
set-
cover much about them.
maybe something earlier in the Arachnos' timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Crossing the
Possibility.
streams, if you will.
I do remember watching some like sort of reactionist type thing to this, and someone speculating that if they're not like the proper Rachnos again, it could be like an offshoot thing. Like instead of a giant spider, maybe it's like a scorpion thing. Given how there's like a scorpion sort of alien thing that shows up.
Looked like a mechanical
Yeah,
scorpion.
One big takeaway I had was a lot of people were making a big deal. Oh, the Doctor's wearing a suit now. She's not wearing the colorful outfit. And based on this trailer, I think that's only one episode.
Yeah, that
Yeah, I
looks to me
think
like
it's the
one
first
episode. People are
episode.
It
pushing
kind of
that too
makes me
far
wonder
again.
if that's a funeral that we're watching.
I don't know. If that's from episode 1, because that's right before the scene with Stephen Fry in it, and we know that's in episode 1. I'm wondering if it might be some kind of James Bondy kind of thing.
That's what I was kind of thinking
Yeah.
too.
Oh, so they've changed into that after being given that mission
Mm-hmm.
that we see.
You're
Okay.
you're going undercover as X. So that
Yeah.
might be Jodie Whittaker's version of David Tennant's Tux.
Right.
Which is also amusing.
Yeah, which reminds me, didn't they say it was bad luck every time the Doctor wears the tux?
Yes.
Yeah.
David Tennant makes that comment. I think that was during the Lazarus experiment.
Yeah.
And then when Matt Smith wears it is when he's dying of poisoning.
Yeah.
Well, technically, he wears a different version because he had a full tux with tails.
Yeah.
I would also point out that we definitely clearly saw Shadoon at least once, and I saw a decent headshot of a Cyberman who seemed to be rusting a bit.
It looked like a new design, not new. Like, I mean, it might have been a rework of an old design, but there were definitely new effects, new
It looked to me,
alterations to make it look
like it was the
rotting.
one from the last Cyberman story, but it might have. But it looks like they did another paint job or something on it to like make it look like it's a bit aged.
Yeah, it might have been an old. It might have been an old model, but they definitely worked on it.
No,
to
there's
make
definitely
unique
some
visual.
modifications. I'm looking at it, and it looks like it has something on its head that we haven't seen in the modern Cybermen. So it looks like maybe a Cyberman that had fallen into decay and it's kind of patchworked himself back together.
Right.
Maybe.
Which does
Or
make
if it
me
has something on
wonder,
its head, it
'cause-
might be a leader or something too.
which does make me wonder: are all of these from the first 2 blocks, like it normally is, or is that from later in the season?
They could be at this point. They could be doing any of it because
Just anything that they have finished
Mhm.
footage of, which for some of the costumes at least, that's already in the camera effects for the
Right.
most part.
as far as I'm aware, the Cybermen weren't in there until darn near the end because they were in one of the last filming blocks.
hmm Similarly, so that would be meaningful. And related to that, we haven't seen Daleks yet in the trailer.
Right.
If
But-
they're planning
I'm
more
kind of
Daleks.
hoping is indicative that we might not get them at all because we had
Or
them in
if they are
we had,
here, that they're very
one
small.
in resolution.
So do you think they just staged a fake Dalek filming without
No,
actually
that
filming
was
Daleks?
if they were filming that, they were filming for the Christmas special, or the after series special. But we'll talk about that in a moment.
Those are
Right.
possibilities too.
What are we at on the timer, Matt?
About 20 seconds.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and move on then,
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
as that's a good
Okay.
segue.
Well, they did make a Christmas special, but not for this year. Showrunner Chris Chibnall has stated that you will get a special at the end of the series. Yes. Interpretation, we're not seeing a Christmas special, and Doctor Who isn't on the air until very early 2020. Our interpretation, New Year's Day. After the series, either right after in March or in December 2020, we'll see the special they just filmed. However, if it's the latter, it may be 2022 before we see Series 13.
So they filmed a special, but they either filmed it to air in March or they're just going to wait until next Christmas. And if it's next Christmas, then they're not probably going to start the Series 13 production until after that. So otherwise, the special would have been part of Series 13. So,
Why are they taking such long breaks between seasons?
I don't know. You know, under Russell,
Chris Chibnall is secretly filming Sherlock.
If that was true, we would have to smack
Moffat's
him.
excuse. That was Moffat's excuse why there were so many breaks during his run, was he had to take time off to film Sherlock. The thing is, under Russell, Doctor Who came out regularly every year, and he was doing 2 other series at the same time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and kept most of them at quality.
Yeah.
Although I think he rather burnt himself out.
Yeah,
Well, that's
I'm not
because he ran 2 other shows.
I'm not saying Chibnall should be able to do that. I'm just saying
Chibnall
that
should be able to at least run one show on the
even
regular.
with juggling the production of 3 series, he still got Doctor Who out like clockwork.
Mm-hmm. It's not a challenge to get Doctor Who on its own if you're only focusing on Doctor Who on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
I
This
mean,
should
like,
not
if
be a
they're going to
challenge.
like, it almost feels like if they're going to be breaks this long, they might as well just go back to doing serials and not have strict seasons. Just be like, well, it's out when it's out. And just release, like, serials throughout the year or something.
I just don't like that idea
I'd
either, unless you're
like
really
them to go
padding
back
it
to the
out.
beginning and make it just one constant flowing from one story to the next. But they don't do that anymore because that's 60s way of filming things.
Mhm.
So anyway, that's our thoughts on what we're hearing. I mean, it's not confirmed, but it's how we're looking at it. So we're expecting now episode 1 to hit New Year's Day, and that means that will last until mid-March. And then there's either going to be a special at the end of March or a special not until December. And I really hate the tight-lippedness that's coming out of the BBC.
Yeah, color me annoyed. I'm not really liking the way they're setting this up. It's just like, come on, just do something and keep it regular.
I do have to assume that this has to be a Chibnall thing because I can't see the BBC after all the stuff they've gone out and said, hey, Mondas Cybermen are coming back and friggin', the Master's coming back and all this that they've spoiled before. It's like, It's almost as if Chibnall's just like, no, I don't trust you, so shut the hell up. Though I have seen people admit that, yeah, this kind of thing is usually on the showrunner, and Chibnall's just not the kind of personality to go out and promote it as much as RTD and Moffat both were.
Yeah,
So that might be part
Russell
of it too.
and Moffat were both great at promotions. In Moffat's
Mm.
case, that was what he was best at because, yeah,
Mm.
writing
Too good at.
writing under pressure was not what he was good at, and other areas of production seem to have been lacking, like story editing.
Mm-hmm.
And Russell seemed to be. I mean, his episodes that he wrote tended to be a bit mediocre, but he was great at stringing together an entire season under one idea, and he was great at editing other people's work, which is really what you want as a showrunner. And he was great at hyping it.
Yeah. He knew when and where to hype it, even.
Chibnall.
Chibnall's floundered out of the gate. He had some highlights, he had some real lows, and the rest of it was kind of mediocre and didn't feel like Doctor Who.
Yeah,
times.
the thing is, I'm looking at Chibnall's individual episodes, and those were not really the best of Series 11.
Nope.
And that means that's writing. His idea of doing a overarching story arc was, let's mention it in one episode and then ignore it until the end of the end of the series.
In which case, I want to slap him because that's not an overarching story. That's just 2 episodes that could have been next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
On the plus side, none of them feature Danny Pink.
He seems to be doing okay at editing episodes, although some of those episodes I think were flawed out of the gate. And then he's not very good at hyping it.
No.
So I'm not really impressed with Chibnall thus far. Let's hope he can redeem himself for the next series. It's not going to make me amazingly want Moffat back, but it's not going to make me. It's going to make me miss Russell T even more.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, by the way, throw back to the trailer really quick. Why the freaking pop music?
They did that last time too. I think that's
And both
part of the
times I
rebranding
hate
for
it.
The 13th Doctor.
I hate that they're doing that. It doesn't feel like it makes it even worse because it feels less like Doctor Who again. Can't we just use the music that's made for the season, for crying out loud?
I will say it did feel like I was watching a CW trailer.
Ugh.
I think that officially puts us over the 5-minute limit for talking about the trailer.
Next week on the DW. Yeah. Yeah, all right. Well, even during the Russell era, there were a few times that they used pop music in the episodes.
There's using little bits in episodes, and then there's using it for your trailer and just making me go, ugh.
I'll remind you that The End of the World actually played a little bit of Busty Spears, so
yeah, that was like a whole grand total of like half a minute. And it was part of a joke. Anyway.
At the same time, they also play Tainted Love by Soft Cell. And I fucking love that song.
True. Anyways, as we have mentioned a couple times, we should probably get moving.
Moving on to the next article.
Okay, 2 sets of guest stars were announced in the last week. First off, comedians Stephen Fry and Lenny Henry will be appearing in episode 1, which, as far as we know, will have some sort of spy/secret agent theme.
Oh, I spoiled that. I'm sorry.
Secondly, we have Goran Wisniewski.
That sounds about right.
And Robert Glenister to appear in a later episode, as yet unknown. Glenister previously appeared on Doctor Who 35 years ago as Salatine in the 5th Doctor's final episode, The Caves of Androzani.
Oh.
He was 24 at the time. And now he's pushing 60.
Dang.
Yeah.
Seems to be the thing for bringing back people from old Who. It's like, well, they're old anyway. We can throw them
Well,
in a new role.
thing
They
is,
look completely different.
Wasn't he the
Um,
masked crazy scientist guy?
no, Celatine was the guy that he had the android copy of. That was the second command of this task force to take down the masked crazy guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, it's he's done some stuff that's made him popular. Not as popular as his brother Philip, who was Gene Hunt on Life on Mars, and became immensely popular after that. But he's done some other stuff that's put him decently on people's radars. So they brought him back to do something this season.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what. He's not doing the same role because, if I remember correctly, Celatine killed himself in caves. So
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, Time War, wibbledy wobbledy.
yep.
Someone punched reality again. Whoops.
All right.
Okay,
So
moving on to merchandising.
Merchandising.
We don't have Doctor Who the Flamethrower, but Hero Collector announced 2 new sets of figurines to be released in the new year. First off, in January 2020, we have the 13th Doctor set, presumably to coincide with the new season. Figures of Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor, as well as companions Ryan Sinclair, Tosin Cole, Graham O'Brien, Bradley Walsh, and Yasmin Khan, Mandip Gill. In February, we have the first Doctor companion set with the companions that started it all. William Hartnell's first Doctor is accompanied by granddaughter Susan Foreman, Carolyn Ford, and teachers Barbara Wright, Jacqueline Hill, and Ian Chesterton, William Russell. Resin at 121 scale, approximately 3.5 inches tall. They also come with a companion magazine packed with details behind each character's time in the TARDIS, including interviews, photographs, and a look back at some of their best-loved stories. I'm kind of curious if the 13th Doctor one is going to include both seasons in their look at those stories.
I don't know. It might if they had advance warning, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just annoyed that they're that tall. If they were a bit smaller, they could have been used for minis.
Oh,
How big are they?
3 inches.
3.5 inches.
Yeah, they're just a little bit on the tall side for minis.
Yep. Otherwise,
that'd be a
yeah,
crowded
I'd be
TARDIS.
pulling out my Doctor Who role playing game, and it's like, yeah, I've got awesome minis. Check it out. All right, moving on. Lavar Z is at it again with a new shoulder and laptop bag in their Doctor Who collection. This one is customizable with metal pins that can be placed anywhere on the bag. Pins include the TARDIS, the Seal of Rassilon, K9, a Cyberman head, Weeping Angel, bow tie, and the 13th Doctor silhouette. The former 6 are all made of high-quality matte finish metal, with the 7th printed in full color featuring the 13th Doctor against a beautiful sunset background. You all remember this image.
The silhouette, yeah.
With the TARDIS waiting to whisk her off across the universe. Additional pins for this bag will be released by the company later on. Not really my thing, but, if you're into having, pins, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if nothing else for the pins.
I guess now we have the pin of Rassilon, so
The pin,
rule
yes.
the other way.
The pin
Yes.
of Rassilon. Ouch! Sorry.
Yes, this makes this the sack of Rassilon.
Oh.
Oh my.
Okay.
All right, George Takei.
Moving on to contests.
Okay, Koch Media UK has started 2 more contests for its UK fans. This one to win the latest real-time releases. The first is for Scylla and the Devil Seeds of Arador on Blu-ray, and you must answer the following question. Which diminutive race has Christopher Ryan also portrayed in Doctor Who? You need to send the answer to comp-sil at doctorwhonews.net with the subject Marshmallow Surprise.
Marshmallow.
Marshmallow Surprise. The second is for a copy of The Doctor's More Monsters on DVD, and you need to answer the following question. Out of the mask, Terry Malloy also played a more human character in the series. Name that person. You need to send the answer to comp-more-monsters at doctorwhonews.net with the subject Dalek.
With a question mark at the end. Yep.
Yeah. Remember, in both cases, the email needs to include your name, address, and where you heard about the competition, an Unearthly Podcast. Again, this is for people in the UK only. Both contests end on the 8th of December.
All right, there you go. And we're not giving you any hints this time because, frankly, I don't know.
I forgot who that was and who he played, and I'm definitely looking it up and not saying who.
All right. Well, you can stop looking that up and go to the next article because we have.
Yep, time for me. Okay. The Doctor Who Appreciation Society is raising funds for the late Terrence Dix's favorite charity, Save the Children, with the assistance of Target novel artists Andrew Skilleter, Chris Chelios, Alistair Pearson, and Jeff Cummins. They have allowed the DWAS to make art cards based on their work. These are now available to buy from the eBay store, along with a Terrence badge and a special Terrence Dix tribute magazine, published in October 2019.
I think we reviewed that when it came out.
I guess they didn't want to make a Dix badge. The cost for the art card set and badge is £5.95, and is it £5 through £95? Are those hyphens supposed to be periods, or are they ranges?
As far as I'm aware, they're ranges because that's
ranges.
what it looked.
Yeah, that's what it looks like on the
because
website
because
too.
it's an auction. Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's £5 to £95, and the set plus the magazine is £7 to £45. Okay.
All right. Just thought people might want to know in case they wanted to get that. Anyway, speaking of Chris Chelios, after months of next to nothing coming out of Candy Jar Books, they finally came out of their coma with 3 editions this week. The first of which is Clack, the Doctor Who art of Chris Chelios. It is a art book. Chelios is best known for his black and white cover artwork in the 70s and 80s. By black and white, I mean the fact that the picture of the Doctor would be in black and white, usually with a color monster underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Clack, the Doctor Who art of Chris Chelios, collects the entirety of his art for Doctor Who in chronological order, along with commentary from Chelios himself, as well as some of the fans, presenting this as the definitive guide to his work. The book also includes a small contribution from 12th Doctor Peter Capaldi and a foreword from Chelios' longtime friend and collaborator, the late Terrence Dix.
Because the funny thing is, as far as I know, the clack thing is a reference to the sound effect he gives a pterodactyl or something on the cover of Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
I didn't
It's
realize
like the Doctor it's like a Doctor cowering from it, from what I remember. It comes up on a special on a DVD where they're talking about the Target range.
Yeah, unfortunately, my copy of Invasion of the Dinosaurs wasn't the Target novelization. It was the group that did it before them with the black covers. Yeah. I get most of mine through a used bookstore, so I take what I can get. Anyway, after multiple delays, the short story finale to the Havoc Files is finally out. The Havoc Files Loose Ends is exactly that. A series of short stories tying up all the loose ends left over from the other novels, as well as dealing with the fallout of the storyline. The book will also have an excerpt from the forthcoming novel, Downtime 2. And finally, the Lucy Wilson Christmas special is due out. Lucy Wilson Christmas Crackers is a series of 5 Yule-themed short stories as Lucy helps with the school fair and does battle with the crone. Stories include The Mobile Army, written by Cherry Cobb, a popular children's author. You guys, are we still there?
No.
Yep.
Okay. I just suddenly heard everybody pop out. Anyway, second story is the Christmas Cracker Conundrum, written by Tim Gambrell. Third is Crimes of Fashion, written by Terry Cooper. Fourth is Imposters, written by Karen Williams. And the fifth is Past, Present, and Yet to Come, written by Chris Lynch. The Lucy Wilson Mysteries Christmas Crackers is available to pre-order from the Candy Jar website and will be released just in time for Christmas. And then finally, we have our Big Finish news.
All right. So Alex Kingston returns as River Song for a 7th run of the Diary of River Song. River goes private eye in this and runs afoul of the law, as usual. 4 stories are included. Colony of Strangers by James Goss, Abbey of Heretics by Elizabeth Miles, Barrister to the Stars by James Kettle, and Carnival of Angels by Roy Gill. The Diary of River Song Series 7 will be released in January 2020 and is available now at the special pre-order price of £24.99 on Collector's Edition CD or $19.99 on download.
All right.
Well, doesn't seem to be anything particular to comment
No,
on
it's
that.
River Song doing more River Song stuff.
She's
Pass.
not crossing over with anybody. I feel like her story has moved past that. All right. Class is also returning for another 2 series on Big Finish. Of note is some cast changes compared to the previous volumes. Dervla Kirwan takes over from Catherine Kelly in the role of Miss Quill, and Joanna McGibbon replaces Vivian Opara as Tanya Adiola for 6 new episodes, including The Sower's Ditch by Carl Rowans, Catfish by Kate Thorman, Sweet Nothings by Michael Dennis, Mock by Alfie Shaw, The Creeper by Lizzie Hopley, and Queen of Rhodia by Blair Mowat. Class Volumes 3 and 4 are available for pre-order now at £19.99 each as a limited edition CD box set, of which 1,000 will be pressed for each volume, or $16.99 on download from the Big Finish website. Both volumes will remain at this price until general release, where they pop up to the $24.99 and $19.99 respectively.
So, I don't know how well this is going to go off. I mean, Catherine Kelly's Miss Quill was the only part of Class that we actually enjoyed.
Well, at least for the live show, yeah.
And she
And
did
then-
give a very distinctive performance. Like, if there's any voice that I would notice was different, it
It
would
might
be
be
would be
hers,
her.
yeah.
And then you've got Tanya, the girl genius, who's being replaced. And it's
Mhm.
like... And we don't know why they're being replaced. Either they were unavailable or they asked for more money than Big Finish could provide. So,
Either that or it might even just be like a scheduling thing.
yeah, well, that's what I meant by unable to do it.
Yeah. Or they just want to move on to other stuff, I guess.
That's possible too. Could be that the whole Class thing is just leaving a bitter taste in their mouth now.
Possibly, even though their Big Finish stuff proved much more popular than the actual show was.
Yeah,
At least in
but
our
that
group.
doesn't mean that it's... I mean, I know Catherine Kelly is, I think, somewhat of a big name.
It looks like she's been doing a ton of bit roles, lots of TV shows where she's done anywhere from 1 to 4 episodes on them, all in
so
2019.
she could be busy.
So yeah, so she might just be not close enough to the studio.
Oh, don't be doing this right now.
Two
Budget.
films this year.
Mm.
And so she might have been... she might have
This
just
is
been
it.
too busy to do it. So, yeah, it's just possible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and she's doing The Rebel as her series regular, so yeah, it just might be that she just doesn't have the time. The heck is a Rebel? It's a British comedy series. Oh.
Okay.
All right. So that is our news. We managed to rock through the news in half an hour.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
The T was not audible. I'll leave it at that.
Hello.
yes, we're here. Did we lose you, Matt?
Yeah, my system suddenly did a hiccup a couple moments ago and just a second hiccup now. I'm not sure what's
Okay.
going on. It's acting like it might be updating something, but heaven forbid my computer wants to update something and not be a pain in the middle of a stream.
Yeah, it seems to find whenever OBS is running, it's time to do update checks.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the least wonderful time to be doing it because at least OBS is still running fine, but all of a sudden Discord in particular just takes a total brain dump.
Mm.
Well, apparently, while you skipped, you heard me mispronounce geek talk because I accidentally swallowed my tongue.
Okay. So yeah, Geek
Yes.
Talk.
Yes,
Yep.
and that's all Thomas this time.
Got 3 bits. All right, and starting the timer now.
Some sequels.
3 minutes, go.
Okay. So, Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan. Holy
God damn it.
reputation. So going in, I was kind of like, please don't be one of those things where the hype kills it. And thankfully, it wasn't. I mean, I will admit, this is also the first time I've ever seen a Star Trek movie that wasn't part of the 2009 onwards
Ugh.
stuff.
So,
Mm.
so you
I've
saw
seen
Into
I've seen
Darkness
all-
before Wrath of Khan?
Yeah. Which the funny thing about it is, even though I like this movie, but having watched this now, I'm like, oh, that's why everyone was so pissed off by that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it literally is shit by comparison to Wrath of Khan.
It tasks me.
And generally, way I can also generally, it's also just that one is much more of a blatant action movie, basically, compared to this, which is much more cerebral.
A lot more cerebral, a lot more suspense.
A lot more
And it
Star
was
Trek.
And it is kind of funny in that way. It only occurred to me afterwards, or right at the end. It's wow, there's maybe 2 punches thrown in this entire movie. It's yeah, that makes more sense. You never actually even get a direct confrontation between Khan and Kirk. It's always over a screen. They're
Okay. I don't know what's going on. But first things first.
They were both on the same ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for if you don't know, Thomas, this movie is actually the sequel to an episode in the original series. Space.
I did kind of assume as much, but honestly, that's one of the strengths of this movie, is that you don't need to know that, and it still works.
Well, that's because Chekhov summarizes it for you.
I'll second that.
True.
I watched this movie probably when I was 10, and I didn't watch the whole original series, including that particular episode, until I was 20.
Yeah.
So,
I watched this movie when I was 6. I watched it in a theater in Lancaster, Wisconsin, and all I can remember about it is the freaking worm scene. Freaking the hell out of me at 6 years old.
Yeah, that probably would have got me when I was that little as well.
Other than that, I remember I thought it was awesome, and that started a tradition with my mother and I going to see Star Trek movies, like Thanksgiving weekend when they came out. like every year. Only we moved it since we moved to Madison. After that, we went to go see them in Hilldale Theater for the longest time, which is not there anymore. So sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. We went to see 3, 4, 5. Unfortunately, 6. Yeah, I think we saw all of them up until Generations, because I remember when I saw First Contact, it was with friends and not with my mom.
Yeah.
Broke tradition.
Yeah, like I guess the other thing, the main reason I'm glad I saw this in the cinema, like that I got a chance to, was just like the sheer scope of like when they show off the Enterprise docked. It's like shit. The sheer scale of it is like, and it just like the longer it goes on, it's like shit. This movie's visuals hold up amazingly well.
Well,
I take
mind
it you
you-
haven't
mind
seen
you-
Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yeah, mind you, that scene was
No.
kind of recycled a bit from Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Except I think it's about half as long in this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. It's about a 20-minute scene in the original, but that's why they're in dry dock and not space dock.
In the original movie,
Yeah.
they're just like, "Oh yeah, look at that model."
They were
okay,
pretty
guys.
much trying to be 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes, they were
Well,
very
that
much
that
trying
came
to
in
be.
later, but yeah.
Yeah.
They were trying
But
to be
generally,
2001 and Star Wars at the same time.
That'd be weird.
But yeah, like I would generally recommend, and like as someone who, it's not even that I'm like, oh, ew, Star Trek or anything. I'm just like, I wasn't raised on it or anything, so I've just never had all that much interest in it. Honest to God, this movie has made me want to actually check more Star Trek stuff out, like single-handedly. So I would say no matter what, and like unless you like vehemently hate Star Trek for some reason, I would say give this a go. It is absolutely worth it. The damn thing made me do the single tear cry near the end.
I still get choked up to this day at Spock's funeral.
Mm.
To this day, I will watch this movie as it airs on some freaking network rebroadcast or something,
Yeah,
and they get to
that's
that
a wonderfully performed
they
scene.
get to the point where they start
Mm.
playing Amazing Grace, and I get choked up.
Yeah. Like between Spock's death, the "I'm proud to call you my dad," and then that, it's just like fuck you.
Have,
Oh,
have we been
yeah.
Three
timing this-
emotional gut punches in a row.
have we been timing this review, by the way?
Oh shoot. Yeah, we're at 6 minutes.
Okay, we went a little over.
We're a little over.
Yep.
Reset, and next one was.
Hellraiser 2. Which is kind of funny. From the first Star Trek sequel movie to the first Hellraiser sequel. I had only seen bits and pieces of this movie before, like very minimal amount of it, and just holy crap. I feel like this is better than the original, but only in that while the scope is a bit bigger, well, a bit, it's, it also doesn't go too far with it. Like you get some more info about the Cenobites and who they serve and all this, but it's not like we're just literally going to explain everything and there's no mystery now.
Mm.
And just like the character they introduced for this movie, I actually kind of prefer as a protagonist than, I think it's Kirsty or Christy.
Yeah,
one of the two.
Kirsty.
Yeah. Because a lot of what she's doing in this movie is just kind of, running around screaming and shit. Of course, there's a weird theme that I just realized that all 3 of these movies have some sort of daddy issues going on, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, like, just holy shit. If you can handle this kind of stuff and you're interested, holy crap, give this a chance, because ooh, like I haven't seen all of the Hellraiser movies. I've only seen like the first 4. And while
You've seen enough. You've seen enough. You
I
don't
was about
need
to
keep
say, I think the
going.
ones after that were really dips.
Oh yeah. But like it would not. It would like I feel like I've seen people say they feel that
Mhm.
Hellraiser 2 is the best of them, and while it's probably close between that and 1, uh, I feel like this one would just edge it out. Like I think as it started, it was kind of like, okay, is the plot gonna get moving? But like once it does and all that, and the end of it is just like, you know what? Yeah, this is a damn good horror movie. Like, fuck, just give this a chance if you're into horror stuff. Like, it
Although
is
I
totally
will
worth
say that
it.
I heard the latest Hellraiser was actually pretty decent especially compared to the latest fares before
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I've heard like they've at least some of the more recent ones have been at least like better. If they weren't like great necessarily, they're at least good. But anyway, that's about all I can think to say for that one. So moving on to Doctor Sleep.
Give him
So,
give him a couple extra minutes for this one because it's a recent film.
All right.
um,
Oh yeah, I actually wanted to see this one.
mm. The funny thing about this is that I've seen it twice because I went to see it on Friday, but my dumbass thought that the showing started at 12:45. Started at 12:45. It started at 12:15. So I technically, because thankfully there was a lot of ads, so I didn't miss a ton. But I apparently missed like the first 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm like, well, shit, I can't give proper thoughts on that. So I went and saw it the second time. And I will say, while I don't think this movie is bad, I will say this is a movie you should probably just see once in the cinema and then just wait for it to come out on a home release, because seeing it Friday then Tuesday probably didn't help either. Like there wasn't like a huge gap between seeing it necessarily. Um like I wasn't, checking the time or anything, but it was just like the second time through
You
it
feel
just
like you've seen it
wasn't
too
as
recently that you started to get
enjoyable.
bored seeing the stuff you've already seen.
Yeah. Like
Mm.
once it gets to the
That
third
can
act
happen
again, I'm
depending on
like,
what movie you're watching.
yeah. Yeah, like once it gets to the third act again, it's like, ooh, okay. Like this is picking up again because of what happens, but yeah, it's just like otherwise, I mean, it is good seeing the intro bit, but of course the funny thing is when I realized it, I was like, okay, I didn't necessarily miss stuff that was incredibly important, but at the same time, it's like, or at least I didn't need to have seen this for the rest of the movie to make sense. But it does give added context to some stuff because and it's funny because apparently a lot of people were assuming that this movie was reusing footage from The Shining, when in actual fact they remade all of those shots. Like they recreated
Really?
any shot that's reminiscent of something in The Shining is reshot,
Hmm.
shot for shot remake essentially with different actors.
Because I'm pretty sure there's a
Because
few shots that I saw faces and they couldn't have faked those.
Because those are like they're all, trust me, they are very much different actors, just who are made to look as much like them as they can.
Hmm.
And it doesn't happen like too often. It's the bulk of it is like a bit at the end and like a bit near the start, because the start is essentially like kind of an epilogue to The Shining in a way. I mean, I won't go into detail about exactly what, but Um, and of course, it's funny because the entire third act of this is different from the novel Doctor Sleep. Because in The Shining, the novel, the Overlook is burnt down and or
Uh,
explodes or something like that. Whereas in the movie, the uh, the Overlook is intact.
Because they
So
never
there's
burnt it in the original
aspects
movie.
of this. Yeah. Whereas in this movie, it's just like, no, it's still like I think they mention it. It's like, well, it still exists. It's just run down because they just kind of abandoned it, rather than having blown it up. So there's certain elements they have to rework to fit because it's fair. And I can understand that because you could argue it's been long enough that they could just go, nah, we'll act as if this is its own thing and not a sequel to the Kubrick movie. But at the same time, that would confuse the hell out of people like me who are only really familiar with the Kubrick movie. So it would just
Which is funny because the Kubrick movie isn't the current version of The Shining. It's been remade since then.
well,
The
yeah,
only
there
remake
was,
that's
like,
been
a
The
TV
Shining
series.
was it's made for TV one, Bill. I
Yeah,
wouldn't go by
the
that one.
the one that
I know.
Stephen King
I know
endorsed.
it's the one Stephen King prefers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he specifically had it made because he didn't like the Kubrick version.
Yeah, despite that, the Kubrick version's still the better one.
It's like it's like Dune. People didn't like the David Lynch movie, so they made the miniseries. The movie's still better.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're making another movie. Well, two.
We'll see. We'll see. Then that might bite them in the ass again.
But yeah, like I would say this is worth seeing. Ewan McGregor is pretty good as a grown-up Dan Torrance. The people who are playing roles from the original do about as well as they can, because I mean, shit, you've got to recreate performances in some cases, and that's a bit hard. I feel like the only acting thing that threw me off a bit, it's not that she's a bad actress by any stretch, but there's a character called Rose the Hat, who's like sort of the leader of the villains. And I can't tell whether she's trying to keep a specific accent or not, because I think the actor was like Swedish.
Yes, she is.
But
It's
yeah,
Rebecca
she's
Ferguson is
So
the
she's probably
actress.
trying to sound more American than she actually does naturally sound, so it might throw you off a bit.
It seems like she's starting off trying to sound Irish, and then occasionally it sort of comes back, but other times she'll just sound like she's trying to have like a default like English accent sort of thing. So it kind of floats between I'm not really sure what accent she's going for. Like I only really noticed it more prominently the second time round, because she is very blatantly trying to like I think it's like a put on when she's first doing the Irish accent, but then it like sort of creeps in later again. So it's like, wait, what?
So maybe intentional. It may just be that she was kind of taught with two different accents.
Could be. But yeah, like it doesn't like ruin her performance or anything, but it's just something that's like, huh. Like, yeah, I don't think I noticed it as much the first time, but the second time it was like, I'm not really sure what she's going. It might even just be that she's kind of just like her natural accent is coming through a bit or something like that. But yeah, otherwise, I'd say it's a good movie. Now, if people are going to go into this and be like, oh, well, it's not going to be as good as The Shining. Well, of course it's fucking not. If you're trying to hold it to the standards of the movie it's a sequel to, you're not going to have a good time. Like that's not what I went into this with. I wanted to judge this on its own merits, and on its own merits, it is a good movie as far as I'm concerned. And like God, technically, I saw a screening of The Shining back in May, I think. So this is the fourth Stephen King movie I've seen in the cinemas this year. Yeah, that's about all I've got to say about it.
All right.
All right.
Oh
Well,
wow,
that's
we ran a little bit longer than that, but we were allowing that. Okay.
Yeah, we were allowing that because it's a new film.
And we're still under an hour, so we're not in panic
Just
mode.
a smidge under an hour, yeah.
All right. Well, it's time for our episode review. Who
I have
was
to
supposed
keep
to
on
do that
talking.
this week?
Who was supposed to do it this week?
I don't think we discussed it.
Matt, seemingly going by the.
Is it supposed
Yeah.
to be me? All right.
Yep.
I'm going to see if DuckDuckGo will actually bring up its stopwatch yet, because for some reason it didn't want to bring it up. I'm just happy that the stream is the whatever was causing lag spikes with Discord has stopped. Because the last thing I want is for that to go on for another half hour. For whatever reason, DuckDuckGo's stopwatch is not coming up. Try with spaces.
I don't know. I just Google stopwatch.
I separated the words. Now the DuckDuckGo one came up. I like the DuckDuckGo one.
Okay. Are you ready, Matt?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So kicking off the episode, we have a couple of people within a company talking about the Ood, and apparently they're trying to sell them around, and they are not getting the numbers they were hoping for, and they're even lowering the prices of Ood in order to try and push them. They decide that they want to possibly poke the military about it, but as they're doing so, one of the Ood suddenly gets red eyes, like in the Satan pit, and attacks the CEO or whoever, and kills them outright in their own office. After our opening credits, we come back to find out that apparently the red eye Ood have been an off again, on again problem, and that they're trying to figure out where they're coming from, equivalent the red glowing eyes to apparently a disease, without any real for sure answers as to where it comes from. But it seems like all the ones that get off-world are perfectly fine otherwise. As this is going on, they're also talking about the fact that they're having people come in to try and do another big push to try and make more sales, to which we come to the TARDIS crew, who appear just in time to visit an ice planet. Donna has to grab a jacket because otherwise she was dressed for much warmer weather. They join in with the rest of the group just in time to come off as company people who might be interested in Oods, and join the rest of the stuff as they're having a look around. Donna finally figures out it's a distant future, about, I think, 20,000 years into her future. They also did encounter an Ood on their way there, which gives the Doctor a bad feeling because it also, at the very last minute before it passed away, had the red eyes as well. He's trying to figure out what's going on and what might be causing the Ood to react the way they are, which is what leads him and Donna to decide that they want to leave the main group as they're being shown around and start sneaking about to try and find out answers. This leads them to a scene where they are in the shipping department, where they find giant milk crates full to the brim with more Ood. They try talking some sense to them and also try to talk to them about the circle and breaking of it, and why they wish to do it, and why they might be raging the way they are, and trying to figure out where this is all coming from. The Doctor gets separated from Donna as security finds them, and gets chased by a giant claw for several minutes before both of them are captured and brought back to the current guy who's running operations. They are pressed for more answers, but they don't really have anything to give, except the Doctor is also questioning, isn't there a third presence that's somehow connected to the Ood? To which the CEO does give away that there is, in fact, a third mind that's somehow involved with the Ood, but won't give details other than the fact that he's planning to destroy it very soon. This is all happening while the Ood are also rebelling, having all gone red-eyed, at least the ones in the storage and other places, and start to attack the soldiers. And as things continue to heighten up, they even start attacking the CEOs that were visiting and start murdering them as well. It just turns out into an all-out brawl in the facility as the Ood are essentially gone wild, all except for one, who remains compliant to the head guy. He even willingly follows him towards the special warehouse number 15, where after Donna and the Doctor successfully escape, thanks to the fact that they had made contact with the still wild and unprocessed Ood, they make their way to the facility with the help of the loyal one, which turns out that instead of being a loyal Ood, he was actually a more passively controlled Ood who was doing things in the back end. To this, the CEO was apparently given a liquid that was not actually supposed to help with his hair, but instead was given to him in the hopes of apparently turning him into a ood, which became successful just in time for the Doctor and Donna to turn off the bombs and save the third giant brain inside the warehouse. And finally turning off the psychic dampening field around it allowed the ood to finally become fully free and possibly start to return to their home. The Ood thank them and tell them that their psychic song will go out into the heavens forever in memory of them. But also, one of their leader warns the Doctor of the possibility of his song, and I quote, ending soon. This seems a bit ominous, but the Doctor is fine for now and returns to the TARDIS with Donna, and they take off yet again. The end.
All right, you did that in about 4 minutes, 52 seconds.
I got 53, so yeah, that's about right.
All right, so we will talk about what we liked about the episode overall. Tim left us his notes, so we'll go over those first.
Mm-hmm.
What he liked was how this episode really explored the concept of morality from multiple perspectives and raised serious questions about how people can justify the things they do. I can see that.
Yeah.
Thomas, how about you?
In a way, I guess if I had to pick something, because I was like trying to think before, and I'm like, is there a specific aspect I can latch onto? And I guess the idea of like Donna's journey through this, of like, at first she's like, oh wow, the future, this is going to be friggin' amazing, and then, gets to the low point of her being like, my god, the future sucks. And then by the end of the episode, she's come back around again. It's like, no, I'm fine. I can keep traveling. It's like, we had a happy ending, so I'm not going to be Tegan and run off.
All right. Yeah. Donna's little story arc is a good one in there. Matt.
I think my takeaway from this is I love the costuming people in this one. We have some security guys that actually look like legit security, and there's a nice big group of them. We have all these CEOs in their little snazzy suits, and then we also have a truckload of ood. Like they have to fill like giant canisters, and there's big marching lines as they're going into fights and stuff later on in the episode. Just a ton of makeup work. I'm sure not all of the ood heads were like 100% there. I'm sure some of them were cheaper, but that's to be expected. And to be honest, they did a really good job with them anyways. It's hard to tell the cheaper ones from the expensive ones, at least at a distance. So
All right.
just overall, really good costuming job on this one.
All right, Bill.
Okay. Mine's pretty simple, but I just really like the idea that they went back and addressed the issue with the ood. It was always something that seemed really weird when they were first introduced, and it's nice to know that I don't know for sure whether or not this was planned ahead of time, but it's definitely nice that they were like, this is something weird. This is something we wish the Doctor was able to ask about more. Let's actually deal with this.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Russell having a fan reaction to the ood and going, you know what? That's actually not a bad idea. Let's cast more of those heads and let's do a story that further develops them.
Still better than Moffat, who would have hinted at eventually dealing with it and then been like, I just figured I'd write that sometime 5 years in the future.
Of course, like with how like little Donna has to really do, there's no real like character specific stuff you could argue. You could almost argue that this could have maybe been an idea that they were going to do with Martha, but then it got like shelved and then reused for Donna's run.
Possibly.
Or at least it wouldn't surprise me if that was like something that could have been the case, because this seems like it could have worked with Martha, but they were just like, they held off on it or something.
I'm also kind of figuring that it might have been just a reaction to the ood themselves, that over the since the original ood episode came out, they're just like, wow, people are still kind of latching onto the Ood and really noticing them a lot. Maybe we should do some more with them before they get sidelined.
It is, by the way, 2 different writers, so.
Mm.
Okay.
So maybe
So-
there is something to the fact that they came back and rewrote it a little bit for this season.
It's possible. It's just, yeah, I think Matt might be right. It's just like, wow, the Ood took off. They're more popular than they thought. People are asking questions. Let's answer those.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we still haven't got an episode follow-up on Chanthos race.
No, not as popular.
Probably never will be.
Not as popular, but also that was late into Russell's line, wasn't it?
That was
Yeah.
the end of
That was
series.
Utopia, yeah.
Yeah, it was the end of series 3. It's about the same, really.
A little bit later on, but yeah. I don't know if you had a chance to.
It's the same series. It was the same series. It was the Martha series, so it was both series 3. It's just the Chanthro was not far
No,
far
the
outshone
the
by
Ood
the
was
master.
second season.
What's that?
Yeah.
Ood was second season.
Oh, you're right. It was.
Billy Piper, yeah.
Yeah, so it took them a couple seasons, and if they had a 5th season, they might have gone.
Yeah, maybe
with
if they had a 5th season, they might have been able to follow up on that. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was not a focus of Moffat.
Following up was not a focus of Moffat unless it was about River Song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it was one of his own original creations, in which case, let's ruin them more. Oh.
Yeah.
He never really followed up on the Paternoster gang either.
Kind of did. They came back repeatedly. Yeah, they came back repeatedly.
Yeah,
But
they showed
as
up
to
repeatedly,
how
but
they
never
got
really
together-
developed them.
Yeah,
Right.
never really saw the origin of the Paternoster gang. No.
They were just a bunch of misfits that the Doctor got together off screen to create a Victorian Justice League.
Yeah, basically.
The Victorian Justice League. All right.
Which one's Aquaman?
Anyway. Whose was that one?
That was mine, I believe. Yeah. No, wait.
All right, so Bill, you're next.
Wait, what are we
Wait.
on?
No, wait.
Oh, wait, no.
No,
it
that was
Bill.
Bill's.
If we're still on things we like, that was from mine.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
Bill's. So
sorry.
it was yours.
Like, did I space out that badly?
Yeah,
No,
I was
no.
gonna say. No, wait a minute. No, I added something to it. No,
No, Matt tried to take credit for yours.
no. Yeah, that was Bill's.
Okay, so what I really liked, well, God, there's not much left. I was going to say I
mean,
really
no one's
liked.
taken acting.
Yeah, well, I really did like Donna's performance, how she's, really happy, and once again, you get Tate and Tennant, and it's just
Yeah.
magic. It does. I swear, it doesn't matter. They're just magic.
You could give them a script that's just psychic paper that's on the fritz, and they'll come up with a miracle out of it.
Yeah, they'll ad lib. They'll ad lib the greatest thing
God.
ever.
That would be a show. Whose line is it anyway? Starring David Tennant and Catherine Tate.
God. It would be an entire. They'd make up an entire episode of Doctor Who. It'd be the greatest thing ever that nobody ever saw. Ugh. All right. So yeah, I'm just going to go with those two's on-screen appearance and move on to what we dislike. And Tim is first, and what Tim had to say. The character of Serana was a bit inconsistent. I think that was the tour guide.
Oh, yeah, Solana. I googled it because I was like, who is that? And
Was
then I
that
realized, it's Solana.
Is that the head of marketing?
No.
Yeah, the head of marketing
Yeah,
gal.
the PR lady, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
AKA Queen of Naboo in one of the... It's so funny that I remember that. I'm like, oh shit, it's like the woman who played the Queen of Naboo in like Attack of the Clones.
Ah,
Oh, well, that's a covert two-hat trick.
All
Now I
right.
just
She
need
just
her
needs to get into Star
be-
Trek now.
Right, I'm like, now watch me find out that she appeared in Discovery and nobody noticed.
Dun,
All
dun,
right.
dun.
Thomas.
Honestly, some of the villain guys get like a bit too over the top for me, which is weird considering I liked, you know, my Dreams of Conquest guy, but in Hordes of Nimon. But like for summary, it just kind of feels like the over the top, like the security guy being all, haha, I'm going to kill you kind of shit out of nowhere, seemingly. Is just like, okay, what? I mean, I can kind of let it go a bit with the
Mister, I
balding
always wanted
guy.
to do this.
Yeah. Like with him more so because it's just like, oh, this is coming out of nowhere. What the fuck? Like I could sort of, while it does bug me with the balding guy as well, I can kind of just go, I can almost kind of let it go as in just like the transformation that's happening to him is maybe driving him a bit crazy. But other than that, it's still like, I don't know. Like it just doesn't work for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Matt.
What was the one bit I was gonna go with? I actually, you already took the security guy kinda, and you already took the um marketing gal. I'm trying to think what else I didn't like for. Um, I think another thing I didn't care for that much was there's all these CEO types that are sitting around. Like we barely even touch that they exist, and we sideline
Yeah.
them. It was kind of pointless to even have them there. It would have been better if they would have simplified it or something.
Mm.
I
Basically,
mean, yeah,
they're basically just extra idiots to fill in a room to get murdered later.
the most we
Yeah.
got out of them was capitalism is dumb. Look at this person ignoring his personal safety for the sake of a product.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Which isn't always the best message. Although
At least not the most
again, it was
nuanced.
more like to me it felt more like it was just a really dumb slasher setup.
Yeah. Like even the
Yep.
doctor like barely
works.
acknowledges them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Matter of fact, there's a room with these people, and the doctor just ignores them and runs off to a panel with Donna to go poke around at stuff.
All right. Matt.
Hmm?
Was that yours?
That
Or?
was mine.
All right.
So,
Bill.
Bill.
All right.
Not taking. He's not stealing yours this time, is he?
So mine is similar to Thomas's, but I think it's different enough to mention, and it's that I feel like the big bad was too one-dimensional, and that's if you're going to do a modern day neoliberal slavery story, you really need like having this obviously like maniacal guy who's willing to kill like anybody who stands in his way. It's too cartoony for that sort of story to you know, what was this? 2008. That was a 1985 story. Like you need to up the game a little bit if you're telling that story, and it didn't do it justice.
Mm.
Yeah, it really depends on how you go about it. There's even stuff from back then that still works better
Mhm.
today.
No, but I mean like
But this particular caricature
Yeah.
type in particular, yeah, it's not working very well for
if
this.
you're going to address racism in the 2000s, you need to address it as not a caricature. And I mean, it wasn't specifically, but you know, that sort of racist actions, I should say. And instead, they're just like, oh yeah, this guy's 100% evil, and that's not what the sort of character is like in real life. It made it too simple.
There's varying degrees of that. But he was too cardboardy. Yeah, he was very much a wooden plank for a character.
All right. So what you know what I didn't like about this?
Hmm.
Answer me this question. What actually did the Doctor accomplish in this story?
freed the Ood from mind control?
Did he?
Yeah, they freed the big brain.
Other than throwing the switch, which anybody could have done, what did he do?
He bore witness.
He watched. If the doctor was not in this, events would have happened almost exactly as they were.
It's not the first time that's been the case.
Yeah, I know it's not, but it's kind of annoying when it happens. Moffat was particularly guilty for this.
I can see where you're going with it, but there are some points where he did help.
I
think
make sure it happened.
What he did was that he taught Donna what it was like to be a space traveler or time traveler.
That is one thing he did do too. It's not all happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, but that's all that it affects is the TARDIS crew.
Well,
Normally,
in particular, he delayed for sure the main guy who was going to blow up the brain. A couple times, in fact.
Yeah, but he was already having weird effects as it was. Like the fact that he couldn't say Ood, so he might not have actually gone through with it just because of the effects.
It's hard to say on that one.
And the fact that the other guy there had already done a lot towards it and might not have stepped forward if the doctor wasn't there, and therefore would have kept him delayed. That one we don't know for certain.
That's a big maybe.
But
I will say that there was definitely key stuff already going, but it was just a matter of that final push.
The plans were already happening. The doctor basically just sat back and watched and ran around a lot and nearly died a few times. But none of it, historically makes a difference. Usually when the doctor shows up, he's there to make a difference. So it kind of, at least in the modern sense anyway.
I suppose the doctor would say that the fact that he showed compassion to that one dying Ood was enough of a difference.
But not really.
I guess, we don't even get
Randy's a pragmatist. He's like, fuck that.
I guess it is kind of weird that there is no scene where the doctor reads the humans the riot act about, you better make sure this shit doesn't happen again or I'll be back or something like that.
Yeah, there's never a point where he basically confronts them with their own issues and morality. And that's something the doctor tends to do, so it just, for me, it seemed like a weak outing by the doctor. Reminded me of Power of Three.
That was a real weak outing.
Yeah.
I mean, no one did anything in that, really.
Yeah.
They did stuff in that. They wasted time.
Our time. All right. Favorite scene. Tim's is the doctor running from the giant grabby crane. Let's see if we can do better than that. Thomas.
I have a feeling Moffat RTD specifically woke up one day, turned to the person who was writing the episode and said, yeah, here's a scene you need to write.
God, I actually have a few. I
Choose
feel like they're
one.
probably all obvious. Yeah. I think they're all choices, so I'll just go with one of them at random. The scene where the doctor allows Donna to hear their
God damn it.
The Ood song. Hear the Ood song, and she's just too overwhelmed by it, so he undoes it.
God damn it. That was my favorite scene because that's a really good scene.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. Pretty much every scene I was thinking of involved Donna in some way. So...
Makes sense. This is Donna's version of The Beast Below.
Done before The Beast Below.
Yeah.
All right. Matt. I can hear Matt over there going, fracas.
I'm gonna go with the little bit of karma. The kill crazy asshole soldier getting stuck where the Ood were stuck as his little kill gas bombs go off. Just to see the Ood have a bit of a sense of karma and just went, okay, you're gonna murder us? Fine. Here, take your own medicine. And just leave him there as the counter times down.
Okay. Bill?
I'm going with another Donna scene. The "you idiot, they're born with their brains in their hands" scene.
It's a great line.
It's the
that
moment.
too, yeah.
I mean, Donna had kind of already solidified her reputation with the Doctor, but it's the moment where she really does that "prove you belong on the TARDIS" thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You,
And
you
even the
asked them they're
doctor's
born with
reaction.
their hands and brains in their hands, and the doctor's like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, that's true too.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
That moment, yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does seem like he's like, oh, I should have. I'm normally the one who says that.
Mhm.
Right. What am I going to use for favorite scene now? I think it would be the scene where they're dealing with the dying Ood, and Donna's just, showing all this compassion towards this thing that a moment ago she's like, "What was that? What is that?" And then the doctor's like, "That's an Ood."
It's
And
a
it's a
him, not
him.
an it.
And then immediately Donna just immediately 180s.
Yeah, immediately she's like, oh yeah, shit, sorry.
Mhm.
And it's interesting immediate reaction and then final reaction. It worked. The scene worked well.
Mm-hmm. And it also set up the nice mystery because we did see them go red eye for the Satan pit, but then it's like, why are they going red eye now?
Yeah.
And
All right.
that's literally what gets the doctor going too. It's just like, that's not right. That's something weird.
All right. So least favorite scene. And Thomas's is
Tim's.
or Tim's. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
The scientist being pushed over the railing and getting eaten by the giant brain. Yeah, that was a bit hokey.
that was extremely hokey.
I didn't know that was how brains fed themselves.
I mean, outside of that one from a Billy and Mandy.
It just also wasn't really good. It wasn't good CGI either.
It was it was at best okay-ish CGI, that brain.
All right, Thomas.
Funnily enough, I'm going to go with Tim's favorite scene because that crane chase thing was just like, what the fuck is going on? It's like,
we're padding the film with action.
Yeah, I mean, like,
there's worse things to pad it with. Just ask the 1960s serials.
God, yeah, it's just like, I don't know, something about it, and the guy like being so over the top, like as he's operating it and shit. Just something about that is just like, what the fuck is this? Like, why are we doing this? Like, you could have just had soldiers chasing the doctor around or something.
All right. Matt.
A thing that irked me was the marketing gal ran with Donna and the doctor for how long? For like several minutes and around several buildings. And all of a sudden, the moment they're like, hey, how about you join us to help stop all of this? She suddenly freaks out and calls the guards. It's like, okay, backstabby much.
I kind of like, I almost took it as just a matter of she, like, in that moment is weighing her choices, like, just non-verbally of like, okay, do I have a better chance with these two, or do I have a better chance by sticking with the people I'm with? And it's just like, okay, yeah, fuck it, I'm just gonna stay loyal so I don't die.
Well, that didn't work out very well.
Yeah. That's, oh crap, my job's on the line. Guards! Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Matt?
That was me.
Oh, Bill. Sorry.
All right.
I'm
so
sorry. It was like Thomas did the most talking, so.
That was me.
So this is least favorite scene. So I'm not sure. I know we've had similar scenes, and I don't remember what I said at the time. But cross-species transmogrification,
That was another one for me too.
especially when it comes to turning something human into something that is very, very, very genetically and biologically inhuman. It's just
Yeah, I begin to question if Doctor Who just thinks that humans can be turned into anything.
Yeah.
right. It's
I mean,
at some point you're breaking reasonable suspension of disbelief.
mm.
You feel
I
that
mean,
way
I
about
also
the
do.
chameleon arch, or just when it's going to
Well, there's
Lovecraftian
Chameleon
levels?
Arch, which is hiding what you are, and then there's something that's extraordinarily as turning a human into an ood without
I mean-
Time Lord technology.
At least the chameleon arch involves extremely high tech, high level technology, and we don't actually know like
How all
how
of it
much
works.
of a different. Like for all we know, it just
Mm.
like turns one of the hearts off, changes the blood pressure, and that's it. We don't actually know.
Whereas
But
this
on
was
this,
just
they're
literally
making
handing a
it
guy a
very
glass.
clear he's growing tentacles. He's having an extra brain pop out. That seemed a bit extreme. Like if he was like,
Literally
if he
ripped his entire flesh off to reveal
now,
an ood head.
if it was entirely his brain chemistry was changed to the point where he was functionally the equivalent of a lobotomized ood, I would have been perfectly fine with that. But going so far as growing that extra layer of skin underneath his scalp and growing tentacles and everything else was too much.
You know, it makes me wonder if that was actually Stephen Moffat giving a hand with the concept, because it does fit kind of a Moffat-y theme of body horror.
It does kind of a little bit.
It's like, yeah, I'm stuck on how to do this. It's like, just do this.
Are you sure that constantly feeding him ood liquid is going to just turn him into an ood all of a sudden? Don't
They'll
question
buy
it,
it.
just do
They'll
it.
buy it. Yep. They'll buy it. Just do it.
I mean, if we've seen like another example of, oh well, no, that's just how we do this or something, then maybe. But yeah,
You would have to do some explaining, though, even to that point.
It's like
yeah.
that's how ood reproduce, don't you know?
All right. So we're at me.
Yep, your turn, Randy.
Oh, my least favorite scene. I had it. I lost it. Let me think for a moment.
Think.
Oh, because we already brought up the brain, and the brain was my big issue. Because immediately I saw that, it's just like, oh god, that CGI is bad. I think it's actually an earlier brain scene where Tennant's looking down on it.
Well, there's
And
one
you
particular shot where he and Donna are looking down at it, and it looks like really bad. It's like, oh, you
Yeah,
guys could
it
have
just
done better with that shot.
it kind of hurt my. It didn't bother me as much at the time, but looking back on it, it really kind of broke my suspension of disbelief. It's like, oh wow, that is really CGI'd in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really obviously CGI'd in.
Yeah, it's the one shot where they're
Right.
looking down at the brain, and you see them very close up, and then they're looking down at the brain. It's like, well, that's really blurry and needlessly so. It's like almost like someone was trying to composite two shots together and couldn't do it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of what I was like, okay, yeah, that's a little hurt there.
It's a little.
So I'm going to go with that as my least favorite scene because I was kind of out of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, final thoughts. Tim, the showed a great counterpoint, someone like Donna to what has been typical companions. Also think this episode did better than most addressing any plot-related questions that might have been raised, as well as dealing with the heavy themes of free will, justice, and revenge. On the other hand, he's not sure he agrees with some of the conclusions the episode reaches. All right. Thomas, your 2 cents.
I feel like this is an example of an episode that could have been a lot better, but at the very least is at least partially saved from being crap, or even just like, I guess it's like it sort of waffles between mediocre and good, and most of the good is coming from Tennant and Tate, because it's just like it really is one of those examples where those two can elevate something. Because at least their writing is good enough and their acting is good enough that it's just dragging this story along to be like, no, you are not going to be complete crap because we're in it. Um, uh, in a way, it is by that thing. It is kind of a bit disappointing though that like this was supposed to be the big, hey, here's what the Eard are and all this. And it like it's it amounts to like a decent episode, decent to good episode at best. But yeah, I would mainly say just to like watch this for the Doctor and Donna, and that's about it. Like I feel like Doctor Who has done better stories covering these kind of moral issues before, and possibly since. So, um,
All right. Matt?
I will say I do agree with the idea that the end results are questionable, especially also given that it doesn't probably get helped by the fact that the villains in this were a little lackluster. Better written villains could have led to better endings, possibly. But outside of that, I will say that the basic idea of fleshing out the Ood more, giving them an actual backstory, and also in particular some of the interactions with Donna and the Doctor, especially later on in the episode, do help make this a little bit better. That being said, there are still a few questionable things, but it's by no means a horrible episode. It's at least worth a watch because I do believe these Ood in particular do come back later on. And I think, yeah, they come back later on in like the next season or so, and they do become at least background aliens after this.
No, we never really see them in their own episode after this.
I'm not saying in another episode. I'm saying they come back. There's a couple of times that the Tenant. There's a couple of times where Tenant, especially during the special season, does come back to the Ood planet.
Oh yeah, where he talks to Ood Sigma.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, you're right.
They played into this. They also aren't they the ones that give him the they're like the second or third group to tell him that his end will come at 3 knocks or something like that.
No, that comes from a lady on the bus from the.
Yeah, that comes from her originally, but I think the Ood also add on to that to some degree. I forget what they exactly told him.
They reveal it's the Master pretty much.
Mm.
Sits down in their little circle and gets a telepathic visual of the Master coming back. That I remember. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, they are important, but at least for a plot point later on.
Bill.
All right. So I kind of alluded to this earlier, and I actually realized thinking about it that this is the same problem that Rosa had, and that it's trying to deal with the nuanced issue of, dehumanization and, economy motivated and other motivated racism and things related to those sorts of issues. And to embody this, they have this one-dimensional person, almost as if they're afraid, well, if we portray them the way that a real racist acts, people will complain and they won't want to watch Doctor Who. So we don't want to offend the racists, so we need to make this obvious caricature that no one would ever, consider as having redeeming qualities. And that's a shame, because I think this story really could have done that. If you had a person who didn't hesitate to kill Ood, but really couldn't bring himself to harm a living person or a human being or something of that nature, there really could have been some nuance that was a bit more representative of real life. That said, Otherwise, I don't think the story itself would have changed all that much. I think I'm glad that they went back and dealt with the Ood. Donna had a great arc, and that was really the purpose of the story. So I would say it was more successful than not.
All right. So my thoughts on it is that the episode itself, as it's written, is pretty mediocre. I mean, basically, your villain is basically an uber capitalist who is business above morals and sees himself as anything to do to make money. And even at the point where the Ood is no longer there, he's like, yeah, I'll just turn it into a delivery service with my rockets. I just got to kill everything first so that there's no evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly, he was a bit one-dimensional, but I'm seeing it a little bit differently on the one-dimensional than Bill is, because he's seeing a racist. I'm seeing an extreme capitalist.
I think there's a line to be drawn for both.
I'm saying racism is the behavior, but they're not portraying it in the way that most people that act that way would.
Mm. Yeah, I'm still seeing it different from you, because you're seeing the race as being the primary issue, and whereas I saw it as a statement against over capitalism. So
it's definitely that. Yeah.
So it's still not something that you'd expect to see modern wise, because that's another 80s theme that you'd
Although
expect
it does
from
pop
80s
up once in a while.
Yep. Well, now I'd expect to see it was because we've got frickin' Trump in the White House, and he's an uber capitalist. But yeah, they're doing their own thing on that. Anyway, I felt though that the character was a little one-dimensional, and I felt the CGI was a little hokey. Really, it would have been a bit disappointment, and even with, I don't really think that Tennant and Tate's performance really outweighed the disappointment in this, especially coming off Fires of Pompeii, which, yeah, was really good, and then this one comes off as, kind of mediocre-y. So my basic response is meh. All right, let's go to points. Tim gives this a 3.5, and this is Tim we're talking about. Thomas?
Thinking about it, and while Catherine Tate and David Tennant elevated a bit, I'm pretty much just going to have to agree with Tim.
3.5?
3.5 as well. Yep.
Oops. All right. Matt.
I do agree that the villains really need to be better realized, and also some of the visuals need punching up. At least outside of the actual on-screen, on-set visuals. So yeah, I'm also at the 3.5 marker. I was thinking I was going to go higher, but no.
Bill?
I've been hovering in the 3.75 range, and partially because of the average, and partially because of everything to do with Donna, I'm going to give it a 4.
So, what the shit? Bill being our bright light?
Bill being the overpositive guy for a change. Holy crap, what the hell happened? Are you sick, Bill? Somebody get a thermometer out.
And me being the negative one, because I'm going to give it a 3.
Oof.
Which, by the way, completely negates Bill's 4.
3.5, baby.
So, it negates my own vote and Bill's vote and gives the group average being a 3.5. Which will put this at number 215 out of 321 things reviewed. It is on par with Planet of the Dead, Eaters of Light, The Savages, The Reign of Terror, 42, City of Death, The Christmas Invasion, Twice Upon a Time, Mark of the Rani, Fury from the Teep, and A Town Called Mercy. It is better than The Long Game, The Android Invasion, The Five Doctors, The Mythmakers, Androids of Terra, etc., and is not as good as The Doctor, the Widow, The Wardrobe, The Woman Who Lived, The Tomb of the Cybermen, Full Circle, Resurrection of the Daleks, etc. So there we go, 215 out of 322 or 321. That's all we have to say about Planet of the Ood.
All right. So if you're watching on YouTube, like or dislike the video, let us know how you feel. And don't forget to comment and let us know what you agree with, what you disagree with, how you rate the episode.
Tell us how
And
you
of
really
course,
feel.
Forget to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube to keep getting our new updates, and to follow if you're watching on Twitch.
All right, next week we continue our tribute to Tenet as we skip the previously reviewed Sontaran two-parter and move on to A Planet at War. It's that episode where David met Georgia in The Doctor's Daughter, written by Stephen Greenhorn and starring David Tennant as the Doctor, Prima Agyeman as Martha Jones, Catherine Tate as Donna Noble, and featuring Georgia Moffat as Jenny. See you next week.
Jenny, Jenny, who can I turn to?